to order.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming today. I'd like to establish a quorum. Jamie?
All right, I'll go ahead and start with Commissioner Buckholz,
Here.
Commissioner Nagao,
Here.
Commissioner Basiji,
Here.
Vice Chair Lee,
Here.
Commissioner Dixit,
Present.
and Chair Cohen.
Here.
And we did hear from Commissioner O'Reilly that he would be unable to attend today, but we do have a quorum of 6 commissioners to continue with the meeting.
Thank you very much. The next is the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Candace. Everybody ready?
Yes.
Okay, I pledge allegiance
To the flag
to the flag of the United States of America
America and
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
Indivisible.
with
With
liberty and justice
justice for all.
for all.
I hope.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, are there any public comments that are on items not on the agenda, Jamie?
So I will give it just a moment. I do not currently see anyone from the public who has joined. I will keep the commission updated should that change. We also did not receive any requests up front. So I believe we do not have any public comment at this time.
Okay, thank you. Then we can proceed with the items for consideration or action. And the first one are the minutes. Everybody received the minutes in their packet.
Yes.
Were there any questions or comments? May I have a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the minutes of last month.
A second?
Second.
Who seconded?
I did.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? The minutes pass. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Wow, we're jumping right in here, aren't we? Everybody have the agenda available?
Mhm.
Okay. We're going to be moving into our reports now, the 4 subcommittee reports. And gee, I'm out of breath. I can't believe we got there already. Okay, so our first speaker, the topic is social participation. That's the subcommittee. It was Bill Buckholz, Chair Cohen, Shahvari Dixit, and Shahvari is going to be presenting this information for us. So it's on social participation.
Very good. Thank you, Chair Cohen. Hello, everybody. So we had a meeting with our subgroup and we spoke about this topic of social participation. And broadly, what we covered under social participation was the fact that it will have, we will go into looking at how social events and social services will be accessed, how well they can be accessed by the seniors in the community, and whether the accessibility needs any changes or we need to look at any of those modifications that are needed. The other thing that we would look at would be the affordability of such events, whether there are some hidden costs to them that the seniors may not know about. We would find that information out. What range of events there are? Would they be of interest to all the seniors? Or do they need to have any modifications so that such ranges can be developed? And also whether these facilities where these events take place are such that the seniors can easily be accommodated there. Whether we would have provision or whether there would be provision to reach those seniors who can't easily be communicated with, so they don't have access to digital or social media. So how would we reach out to them so that they're aware of such events and facilities? Now, some of these things have already been looked at in the previous certification, but if there are any outliers or if there are any changes that need to be made, those would be what we would look at for the future. That's about all that my part could have covered. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. The next one is respect and social inclusion, and Commissioner Buckholz is going to do that one.
As an introduction, it seems vital that since our role will be included in at least attending the focus groups, that we really understand the context of the questions that will be asked of the leaders of the focus groups. And so it seemed to me useful that we delve a little bit deeper into the official way that these particular domains were described. Even in the social participation checklist, one of the important things that they looked at was social isolation. And certainly that's a serious problem from my point of view as a healthcare provider, that the isolation removes people from both being observed by others who might be able to help and by their ability to know about the resources. Respect for seniors, I have not encountered personally any kind of ageism type of disrespect. And I know that it exists. I probably, given my style of interacting, I don't think I'm going to run into disrespect very often. But people who are less bold might. And that's a whole social education process of getting rid of the stereotypes that a senior is somebody with a walker or a cane. Intergenerational things of either meetings or activities, I've always thought were a vital way of bringing cohesion to our community. Even to the point where I was talking with the librarian at the library, and we talked about how youth can volunteer to, in effect, develop a relationship with a surrogate grandparent. And this has happened in other countries, England, for example. But it's one of the ways that we automatically bring at least the grandparent generation to the youth. But the adult children of elders also are often either distant from their own parents or not really working with them because they're just not encouraged to do that, or the busy life that we all lead. So addressing the intergenerational connections, I think is going to be one of the topics that is likely to come up in the focus groups. Those were pretty much the kinds of issues that are relevant to the social inclusion checklist. I sent to Jamie copies of the checklists for each of the domains, and she will be distributing them. So taking a look at those will give us an idea of both the ones that we're particularly involved with ourselves, but those that other people are doing. So with that perspective, I think that we can be more active as a senior commission in creating the changes that are needed in this community. And that which was done a decade ago, some of it has been done, but the conditions now are so vastly different that new creative thinking is needed.
Bill, can I ask you a question?
Certainly.
Can I ask a question from Bill? Have you considered, as a part of your topics regarding to this matter, elder abuse?
That has not been raised before, but that's brilliant. Certainly, I know of elder abuse from talking with emergency room physicians, but it is very real. And how to identify and then develop responses. Certainly, there are responses to elder abuse. And I think that the first responders are likely to be the ones who will see it. And that goes for the partner abuse.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, and I think an important element to that is for the subject to this abuse is to step forward and talk about it somehow.
There are barriers that exist for people speaking up, fear-based. So that's a very sticky wicket.
Right.
Thank you.
I think it's a great point to bring up. I just like to expound on that a little bit, and that is that elder abuse includes 5 or 6 different types of abuse. Many of you probably know this: emotional, mental, physical, fiduciary,
Right.
all kinds of things. And if it's identified, there are mandated reporters in the community that have to report it to the authorities within 72 hours. So physicians, nurses, social workers, so all the first responders, a crew of people, teachers that have to respond. And I think we'll look into that because it's not itemized on the checklist that I noticed on any of the checklists. So let's make a note of that one and definitely follow up on it. Thank you for bringing that up, Jim.
That's a critical omission.
Thank you.
It is such a problem.
So Jane, you
Chris.
mentioned fiduciary. Do any of the financial branches have the responsibility to report suspicious behavior?
You know, I don't know about that. I don't know if banks or other financial institutions are mandated reporters.
Okay.
I don't know. We'd have to look it up, or they might report anyway. You don't have to be a mandated reporter. You can be a caregiver and report,
Sure.
an unlicensed caregiver. So, you know, that's a question I don't know the answer to.
Okay.
But it's a good point to bring up. Thank you, Chris. Mhm.
One of the responses would be public education.
Yeah, but there's so many hidden things around that topic, all the abuse issues. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so the next one, Jamie, I don't know if I'm supposed to just announce this, but the next group that's going to report on communication and information are Jim and Chris. So are one of you going to do, or who's going to do?
Jim, is it okay? Jim, is it okay if I go forward with this?
Absolutely.
Right. So
Okay.
a great meeting was had with Jamie on this. We had some good discussions about communication and information. And just some of the ideas that we came up with were meeting. We are also going to orchestrate between Jim and myself the meeting with the Parks and Rec Department I think that's going to help a lot because a lot of the activities that we hope to engage with the seniors will be with the Parks and Rec. Then the idea of coming up with printed material and being able to distribute it. So I understand Jamie said that the rec department will be happy to do the printed material. We can come up with some sort of design in our artwork department. Is that true, Jamie, or did I make that up?
Sorry, my computer didn't want to unmute, but no, you are absolutely right to help get information out. And most of the materials we have are usually printed. And so I know we had brainstormed different ways of distributing that. So no, you were remembering correctly.
Great. Well, and I was thinking in terms of flyers, and flyers being directed at places where our seniors are going to be and possibly our senior families. So doctors and dentists' office, hearing aid offices, vets, banks, farmers market, realtor's office, chamber of commerce, and we do have our summer concerts. Now I know we're probably on the winding down of that, but anything that would be open to the public, if we had these flyers available for them, then they could be passed on to those seniors who really should be participating.
Are they bilingual? Are the
Oh,
existing
good
flyers
point.
addressing different languages?
Jamie, what do you think?
Now, that is something that we've been talking about. At the moment, they are not, but that is something that we can look towards the future to increase access and awareness.
Because elders who are brought over by their children may or may not be English competent. And I guess the most likely are Spanish, Mandarin. I don't know about.
Hindi, I would say.
Yeah, I was going to say there's so many languages there.
Mhm.
Would there be a central language that would be more common?
English would be the most central language, but other than that, I would think Hindi.
Hindi?
Hindi, yes.
Mhm.
So we've done this brainstorming. Now, how do we do the real thing?
Is that a question for discussion?
I think a question for Jamie.
One of the other pieces that I know we had talked about as well is making the experiences personal and sharing with individual networks as well too. A lot of what our Parks and Recreation staff, we go through that process to create some activities, create those events. And I know one of the discussion topics was you're more apt to maybe go to a program or an event if you are personally invited by someone that you know or are going with someone that you know, and also can be an advocate if you've experienced before and had a wonderful time, whether it was at an event or a class. You're probably going to be more excited to share that with your friends and family and say, hey, we went to a great class or went to a great event. They're hosting another one, would love for you to join. And so that was one other element that we thought might be a good avenue for the commissioners to become well-versed in what our Parks and Recreation departments are doing locally, and then including your networks to get that communication and information out there through grassroots efforts. Because our department itself does its own standard marketing, which we just talked about distribution of flyers, but we have our website, we have our social media, we have our paid ads in various newsprint media. But that personal element, we sometimes are out tabling, as Chris mentioned, the summer concert, which we did one on August 25th, and we had a table out sharing all of what was coming up. We've had tables at the farmers market just to increase awareness and get those flyers out there. But that is also something that the commissioners can help out as well too, is when those activities, we would love to see all of you at the programs and events, and then to have you help us get, hopefully you have a positive experience and then can share that with your networks to start increasing awareness and hopefully participation as well.
And if you could send out an email to us and saying, okay, we got a booth coming at the farmer's market, whatever, I think that would be great. And soliciting a response. Are you going to be there? Not just information, but requesting attendance.
Own it. Is transportation a hindrance in some of these events? Even if they're invited?
Now, that's a great question. And I will say we do have our the ride share program. So if there is and it is a reimbursement program through our adult 50 plus program, that the on-demand ride and transportation, we do have that as an available option for those that might need assistance with some transportation. So could it be better? Absolutely, but that is the program that we have at the moment. And right now it's actually being fairly well utilized.
Good.
Did COVID affect the utilization of the rideshare and the coupons and so forth at all, or?
Yes. Again, many of the directives were to kind of stay put and stay at home. So, but now that as things have been opening up, I've been seeing more submissions for reimbursement. That we did in 2020 was extremely low. and so that obviously increased last year, and we're moving towards more normal times at this point.
All right. Thank you.
I wanted to mention something about Chris, your group, you and Jim. You know, I think you alluded to it, but I don't know if people actually said it. You know, it's more than the language. It's these groups, and I think that they're divided among different cultural groups. And that's the way we could also reach people. So it's not only language proficiency or whatever, but it's just getting the word out to groups that like might meet culturally or know each other, or there are networks of different cultures. That might be one of the inroads. I'm not sure if you mentioned that or not, but I was thinking about that.
No, good point.
Jane, could you, I mean, Commissioner Cohen, could you elaborate a little bit on that? How do you, I know what you mean, but I just like to hear more.
Well, when, you know, we talk about language, and Shivari was saying, you know, that most people speak English, but if we're going to pick one language in the Indian culture, it would be Hindi. But she's a very good example, and you could probably speak to this, Shivari, that your cultural group meets on a monthly basis.
Yes.
And all people of that culture, as well as other people, are invited to come to discuss interest areas or, you know, topics that interest your cultural group. I'm pretty sure it's mainly that. I mean, I'm making the assumption. I haven't attended one yet.
Yes, it is.
That's
You're right. Correct. And so when we do meet, overarching every other interest area, the commonality that the group likes to see is to speak in our own language and to celebrate festivals that are coming up. For example, we're going to have an event in October, which everyone is looking forward to since the last 3 months. And it's our Diwali event, which is a festival that happens annually. But for the last 3 months, we've had such interest in our little group of 45 people that the same 15 women are going to be in 2 different dance groups. And they're talking about a quick change of clothing so that we can be in 2 different dance groups. I don't think they've moved this much in a whole year, but they're in 2 dances. And so, but yes, the cultural aspect makes a real big difference. And then the end of a 2-hour meeting always culminates in a potluck. And they really wait the whole week to bring something from home and share it with each other. Oh, I made this and I made this, and this is the seasonal vegetable, and this is what we used to make in India. It's a super hit. I go with an empty bowl and come back with a full stomach.
Is there a way that we can have the different cultures invite those outside that culture and to participate in some fashion? I know a little bit about Diwali, and I even had to put up my neighbor's lights. And my kids gave me such grief when I had lights up on the roof for Halloween. But
There are some ways that I would think at the top of my head. When we had our festival of Holi at the community center, I'd invited Dr. B, and he had come and seen what we did there and participated. Jamie had come, and we'd done that. We're trying to do the same thing for Diwali, invite whoever would like to come. And the nice part about it is that Sherry has put it into the newsletter of the community center. So now everybody knows that there is something happening and everyone is welcome. However, a better idea would be if we could, I don't know how these things work, so I'm just going to put it out. Suppose we had a film, when we show all these open air films, suppose we had a Bollywood film, or suppose we could have, where we have the tree lighting ceremony downtown Los Altos. If we could have a Bollywood night, everybody could come and participate. We have, food booths that could be open, everybody could share. I'm not sure how to orchestrate such a thing, but certainly it would be a time where everyone could take part.
That sounds wonderful. I'd come.
I would too.
Yeah, especially if you're gonna give dance lessons.
Oh,
I'm coming.
sure.
I'm
That's
coming.
the easiest part.
Thank you.
I would wonder if the whole senior commission would come, because I know the group there are peers of our age. So it would be, for me, just incredibly broadening to be able to participate in a cultural experience as a participant and not just an observer.
So I can tell you about 2 events that are happening. The first one is on October 11th, which is the Diwali event. We're going to have it in the Los Altos Community Center. And the timing is 10:30 a.m. to 12 noon. And those are the 2 dances that the women are doing. We're also going to have a group song, and then there'll be some potluck lunch. There is a second event that's going to happen, because back to back we have lots of festivals. So the second event is on October 2nd. We are just organizing it. I'm going to sing on that event. And there's going to be a group dance. You can join in. It will probably be held in Grant Park. We're trying to book the hall and do all that. That's also in Los Altos. And I can send out the flyer to the senior commission. I'll send it to Jamie so that she can help me. But as soon as that is ready, and yes, you can come. You can come and you can join in and meet lots of people.
Can we
So
bring something to the potluck?
The potluck, that
we
is
bring
only
a
in
dish?
Diwali. You could bring it for the Diwali event, yes. I don't think there's a potluck there might be a ticket for the dinner and dance kind of event for the October 2nd. And that's going to be in the evening. So there are 2 operations. If you ever want to party and you have a free hour, call me.
Thank you. Thank you for explaining that.
But yes, that's a good point. And most cultural events are where a lot of Indian groups will get together. And that's a great place to distribute information.
great.
Back to the communication, Shawari, how can we communicate these events well ahead of time? because I mean, within a week of the event, it's very difficult to grab people's attention. So perhaps, is there a calendar of some sort that we could have, and we could you would feel comfortable sharing, or the organizers would feel comfortable sharing, so that Sherry and staff and us can talk about how do we communicate this beyond the present group?
Definitely. I think things are coming into shape now. Till now, there was no avenue where we
Okay.
could meet. And having a facility once a month to meet at the community center has been a real boon.
Yeah.
And for the first time, we were able to invite all of the groups that are within Los Altos and Los Altos Hills, that, you know, we can get together. You can, you know, talk with other people. You can meet for these community events, come to different events that are already happening in the center. So this has been a really nice opportunity that has been created. And I'm sure that slowly, if we start building a calendar, people will come.
Yeah, and also the second dimension to this would be to use the Los Altos Hill facilities to hold some of these meetings, largely because the Hills group oftentimes seem to be, you know, separate themselves. I'm sorry to say that, because that is the truth, that they separate themselves from the Los Altos Community Center, and holding something like this in a town hall, perhaps, because town hall more or less act as a public gathering place as well, would be a good thing to do if you guys are amenable to it.
I would love that. In fact, we have been thinking of that. I had called the town hall at one time. However, I do remember the opportunity was to have a once a month musical gathering, because that's another thing that the Indian groups would like. But there is a restriction on sound. And so we could not meet to even sing within that room together after a certain time, maybe 5 in the evening or so. And so that did not work out for us. So if we can explore that further, I'm sure I can get people moving, and that would be a very welcome thing.
Thank you, Shawari.
Thank you for offering that example for the group. Appreciate that. Okay, any other things that you wanted to mention, Chris or Jim?
No, Jim, you've got anything?
No, I think you did most of a wonderful job, and as you mentioned earlier, I like to, you know, point out as a side note that many of these things were undertaken in the past that I'm sure Jamie remembers, and all of that. And I think we have, the reason I mentioned that, the avenues are present. So all we have to do is more or less take advantage of that and reactivate them, shall we say. Do you agree with that, Jamie, or do you?
No,
Okay.
absolutely. I will say the pandemic put us on hold. We're kind of restarting things again, and ultimately we have the unique opportunity to make it what makes sense and will bring the most informed people the best way possible, and to get as much participation as possible. So it's going to be a work in progress, and things may be slightly different a few months from now, but I think we have a good starting place, and we can continue to work on that together as a group.
Very, very so much. Mm-hmm.
Jane, we met
Thank you.
about the health.
Thank you. Did that help? Did you answer? We keep freezing. Are people losing their internet, or just me? I don't know what that is. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, you know, I think that the pandemic slowed us down on everything. And
Oh,
it's like, we're ready to like do this restart and rev up on all
Got it.
kinds of things at the same time, because we're excited to get out and, you know, be present. So we have a lot to do, but we have to be reasonable, because we can't jump in and do 500 things at one time just because we haven't done them over the last 2.5 years. Anyway, that's just my side comment.
Jane, we
Okay.
also
ahead.
a health, senior health dimension. And as it would be useful to just please comment on what we looked at. And
Do you want to wait till I give my report, or do you?
okay.
Is this part of what you wanted to say before? I'm ready to give my report on community support and health services. Does this have something to do with this, Bill?
Yes, that's exactly that.
Okay, well, let me do my report and then be sure to come in and ask questions or offer comments. And I have just some general things that are kind of mixed in with exactly my report. So I hope some of this might be helpful for you, because it would have been nice perhaps if we thought this out a little bit and started out with some of these things, because some explanation is important so that we know where we are and we know where we're going and we have an organizing framework for the whole project. So let me begin. I'm just going to kind of read it. I'm sorry. As we present these domains, let's remember that they are all interconnected. No one of them stands alone completely, and a lot of them are mixed, and a lot of overlap is occurring. The domain that I'm presenting, community support and health services, focuses on those aspects of community support and health that are within the scope, this is really important, are within the scope of an age-friendly city's influence. So some of the factors within this, we wouldn't have any control over. And the focus needs to be on what we have control over. So I thought that was interesting when I was reading it. And the second point I want to make, that this phrase "in the community" is the essence of interest of what we're doing. In the community, not in acute care facilities or not in other types of things, but just out there, people that are out and about. That's who we're trying to help. The third point is that this particular domain examines the availability of sufficient quality, appropriateness, and accessibility of care. Health support services are vital to maintaining the health of community-based older adults. So again, the focus is community. Let's continue to focus on that. I wanted to mention something about the checklist. Some of you might not be familiar with the checklist because you haven't done your reports yet. But the checklists were derived from the focus groups conducted by the WHO and AARP. There were 100, and I want to give you just a smidge of a background. They were conducted with 158 focus groups with almost 1,500 people from 33 cities from developing and developed countries. And it was done in 06 and 07. And the guide that Jamie sent us, I think it was August 10th or something, she sent us the whole guide as an attachment to an email that she sent, was published in 07. So the guide is 15 to 16 years old right now. And things might have changed. I don't know that. But we might find that out when we do our focus groups. So on the checklists were created to, they were derived from these focus groups. And they were an overview, a quick overview of the major components of each one of the domains. So on the domain that I'm speaking about, there are 4 categories on the checklist. The first one is service accessibility. And the first thing that comes up under that one is transportation. So I know it comes up under mine, and I know it comes up on Shivari's, the social participation. If people can't get to where they need to go, they can't participate. And if they can't get to healthcare services, they won't get them. So it's critical. Also, it looks at levels of care. It looks at, they don't call it this, but we do ADA compliance, which is American Disabilities Act, if everyone's familiar with that, compliance for senior citizens, for elders, and also the knowledge of resources. We have an amazing resource in our county called SourceWise, and that's just an amazing book of just like every possible thing that anyone could ever want, as far as we know. There are also economic factors that they bring up. Now, remember the focus groups, some of them, quite a few were based in developing countries, quite poor cities. So when they talk about economic factors, it might be very different than what Los Altos looks like in Los Altos Hills, where some people would say that many of our residents are house rich but cash poor. So that's very different than some people in other lands. The second thing, so that was service accessibility. The second factor are offering of services. So they just talk about the range of different services. And the particular thing I want to highlight are home care services. Home care services are wanted by many, many people. People want to age in place, they want to stay in their home, and they want services brought into the home. And it's extremely expensive, even for pretty wealthy people. So it really, really adds up. So I thought that was a highlight of that second component. The third one is volunteer support. And I know this crosses over several of the domains. So because Bill was explaining about the intergenerational, so it includes youth and family involvement and the intergenerational that Bill already really covered. That's one of the that's the third component. And the fourth and the last one is emergency care. And the main point that I think that will be addressed for us is emergency preparedness. We offer classes in emergency preparedness. I don't know how many people attend them. I don't know how many people follow up and are prepared. I don't know how we can offer assistance in that area, but anyway, it came up as a major factor. And when I was reading through the 3 examples that Sarah sent us from Los Altos Hills of the cities of their action plan, they all mentioned it, this emergency preparedness and what to do about it. So anyway, that's the end of my report, and thank you so much. And I'd be happy to answer any questions or talk about anything. Chris, you sound like you look like you want to.
No, that was very thorough. And like you mentioned, it does cross over to several of these topics. So thanks a lot. That was good.
Thank you.
Yeah, Commissioner Cohen, there's a cert classes that are given that's sanctioned by at federal level and the state level that really serve the purpose of preparing people of all ages. And most applicable to senior would be the senior community. I think somebody taking a cert or those who have taken a cert participate in more or less, in, for lack of a better word, elder care at the time of emergency. So those are some of the things that we probably at some level should include.
Yeah.
One more thing is we do have the block action teams.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
Beth.
I think they are more intimately familiar with their neighborhoods, and they would be able to identify a lot of these people who need some support.
And we have CERT also. I don't know the difference, but I know there are those two groups.
Well,
But I'll just give you an example from myself. I've never been contacted by anyone. No one knows that I'm here. No one knows my circumstance. No one knows if I live alone or not live alone. And I'm a senior citizen, I have to admit. Although I argue with my son, I tell him, no, I'm not. He said, Mom.
They said,
they mention some of these things because we covered a lot of these grounds in the past. I just don't want our institutional memory just more or less just lose all this, because BAT group that Commissioner McGarter just mentioned, that absolutely was something activated. That,
But how active are they? Are they collecting the data that we need?
Well, I think that's the part where I think that the staff and Jamie and the rest of the group come in to try to really more or less revitalize or reactivate or dig up, whatever, lack of a better word, some of the work that has been done in the past, and so we don't have to start from ground zero on a lot of these things.
Mhm.
I think you're absolutely right, Jim, because I've not been actively connected with them for probably 6 or 7 years. And I think that they really need to get it revitalized.
Yeah, and the commissioner has a turnover, as we all know. I mean, people term out or they resign or whatever.
Mhm.
It's really be a shame if each time one of these things happen, the commission that was responsible for that particular thread just goes away and the thread gets lost, which is.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. That's why I think that we have to know that really staff is responsible and we are there to help, assist, advise. You know, we rotate in and out so much that, you know, things get lost in the shuffle. So if we're pretty stable up until the time that we get funded and Annabelle can start the work or start, you know, it would be great. So, because once that starts and once that's in motion, other people can pick up the pieces, but she's going to set the stage for what the pieces are going to be.
Thank you.
Yes.
Seems to me that we are evolving as a commission to become activists in the most respectable. And so having a handbook, if you will, of the things that we can be involved in, even if it's just making some phone calls, I think would be very useful.
Yeah.
The ones that you mentioned, I don't know who the central voice is for BART. For any of the groups, CERT,
The back.
excuse me. So it's an information deficit on my part.
I don't know. Thank you, Bill. I think we're enthusiastic. I can feel the enthusiasm among the group members, and I think it's a delight to be among you. And I look forward to working with you. So, you know, there's a new energy, and part of that is you as people. You're amazing people, and I love working with you. The other part really is that we've been dormant for so long, and we're just excited in general. And now we have something to sink our teeth into that's meaningful. That's going to really help our citizens, and we want to help our elderly people. We want to do that. That's why we're here.
It's almost like
Yes.
some of those pine cones that need a fire in order to open up so that they can reproduce.
Okay, well, any other comments? Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for your reports. They were wonderful, and I really appreciate you taking the time and energy to work on that and to give such fine reports. It's going to set a nice stage. The next thing on the agenda is the work plan. So we have that also came the latest one. We had that before, so it's not the first time that you've seen it. It's the one updated July 11th. That's the most recent one that you should have in front of you. Or, you know, you've all memorized it, right?
You know how memories are these days.
Yeah, we only know what subcommittees we're on right now.
Right.
Okay, so Jamie, what were we gonna do? Were we gonna make the change? Were you gonna say something about that, or?
And so this was a suggestion by Chair Cohen, and it was in regards to the order in which the work plan is formatted. We currently have, and the reference point is the order in which the domains are listed in the WHO workbook. It is in a different order than what our work plan currently is. So it was a suggestion by Chair Cohen that as we work towards possibly recertifying and getting all of this information together, that the order be representative of what is in that WHO plan. So I wanted to bring that to the commission's attention to see if there was consensus that we do want to adjust the order so it matches what is in the WHO, so everything is streamlined in that way. That was the main point of that one, in addition to any other updates that we needed given some of the reports that were given. Saw some heads nod. I saw a thumbs up.
Not quite sure what you mean by organize.
I'll
Is
tell
simply
you.
Sequence of reports.
Mhm.
Oh, essentially the work plan is, so it would be just the information would be the same. It would just be ordered differently. So
the rows would be different. the rows would go in the order. We would move the rows around so they're in the order of the guide, of the WHO guidebook. Because
So what would be
they
first?
present them in a certain order, and that's the way the action plan's gonna be developed. That's the way it's presented when we present it.
So the best example that I will give here is that the first one on here in our work plan is actually social participation, whereas in the WHO workbook, transportation would be the first one that's listed. So again, information would not change. It would just be a format change to match the order in which the WHO lists the 8 domains.
Okay.
Does
That
any,
makes sense to me.
Okay, I've seen a couple of, any other commissioners opposed? I'm seeing a lot of consensus with head nods and thumbs up. So we will go ahead and make that adjustment so that it matches, again, information is not going to change. It will just be the order that we will adjust. And then any other adjustments or updates that are needed at this time?
Jamie, clarify my thought for me, but isn't everything waiting for the budget to be approved?
It is. This is all in anticipation or preparation, I would say.
We just want to make sure the bride shows up for the wedding.
Yes, but there needs to be money for the dress.
All of that is very true.
yep. You're exactly right about that.
Okay. That's all that I have,
So-
Chair
so-
Cohen.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. So did anyone look through the work plan and want to change anything right now, or we're just gonna let it be the way it is? We're just gonna reorder the rows. Okay, so let's move along here. So, okay, so the next thing are the informational items and the Grant Community Center Capital Improvement Plan update. And I think Manny Hernandez is going to do that. Is that correct? Hi,
That is-
Manny. Is he here? Oh, hi, Manny. Thank you for coming to our meeting.
Sure, no problem. You actually came to me. I'm still in my office doing some work and listening.
Yeah, we're here.
The mountain came to Mohammed.
Good, good. So it's your turn to speak. So thank you for coming and thank you for speaking with us today.
Sure, thank you very much. So thank you for having me. I'm just here to provide an update on what we're doing with Grant and the Grant Park projects. So in this latest update to the capital improvement plan, we have put together some projects rather than just keeping a budget as we have in the past. We used to have just a park improvement projects, and then we pull projects from there. They're more detailed now. We haven't. I think we just finalized the priority level, but really the Grant Park improvements. I'm going to go ahead and head that off. So that's already on my plate, and I've already started some movement on that. So in this upcoming fiscal year, in case just to bring everybody up to speed for those who may not know, this upcoming fiscal year. I plan to tackle 3 elements of Grant Park, and this is actually in the facility itself, not in the park. So just to make sure everybody's clear on that. And the 3 components that I'm going to be looking to deal with this year are the electrical in both facilities, in both buildings, the HVAC in both buildings, as well as a potentially, hopefully, depending on timing on this, a water heater system for both facilities. So we're going to review all those things. So just so everyone understands it a little more, is since it's not going to be a general contractor led projects, I've done projects like this before. I've remodeled libraries and yard facilities and stuff like that. So I'm going to treat it the same way. We're piecing this out. The first thing that we have to do is find out what components we need in the HVAC as well as the water heating system. So once I can get plans like that, then I can bring in the electrician to make sure we have the proper load to carry those items. So I think it's pretty straightforward and understandable. So, so with that, I am currently working with the HVAC, and I'm prioritizing that because I really feel like by next summer, I could possibly have the electrical upgraded and the HVAC in, and that would be a huge improvement in that facility. The water heating I can get as time permits. But with that, I will bring in the electrician to assess what's needed. And now I don't know, this is the wild card. I'm not sure exactly where the electrical will fall. It's easy to say, oh, they can upgrade the panels. But when you upgrade panels to a higher level electrical load, you're probably going to need new wiring too. So that's why this may get expensive. So so with that, we have some funds that I can't give you the actual number. It's kind of broken up, but I'll be talking with the city manager once we get estimates on the electrical, and then we'll probably have to request money from council. At that point is what I anticipate, at least, because the wiring's pretty old. Even if we did upgrade the panels, it might be a danger. So we'll have to upgrade the wiring, and there's going to be a lot of work involved in that. And then hopefully by next summer, we'll have the HVAC updated, and then the hot water will come in after that. So I think that's basically where we are right now. My HVAC contractor, we're going back and forth right now on a date to actually meet out there and do a walkthrough. He's done this for me before, so he'll for another facility. So once he gets this set up, I'll move forward with the electrical, and then I'll bring in the plumber for the potential water heating system. So that's where we are. That's the upcoming fiscal year plan. So now, if there are any questions, hopefully I can answer those. Yes, Jim?
Yeah, Annie, thank you very much. This is long overdue. I think that's fantastic. That facility is extremely important to the senior community, we all know. And even though I don't live in the area, but I have had an opportunity to visit it many times, and I think the kind of improvement that you're undertaking are fantastic. So the two questions I have, number one is, are you going to be looking at, when it comes to water heater and stuff like that, and are you looking at heat pumps and stuff like that to be environmentally correct, or just according to some kind of brand new environmental standard, or are you looking at just traditional water heaters or whatever?
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's actually a really good question, because that's something that I'll be discussing with the contractors. Since I'm piecing this out, I'll be able to individually discuss this. For those who don't know, and I haven't given this, I don't know if I should tell you this, but because it's ahead of the Environmental Commission's information, but we did change the HVACs at the Woodland Library. And now we pulled the gas line on it. I've worked with PG&E, and they actually funded it. So that's already changed out. So it's 100% electric now. So that facility does not have a gas line connected to that. So that's the hope at that facility, is the water heating system. I can see with the size of the facility that we're talking about, Grant here, I can see going to an electrical system. It shouldn't be an issue. I just don't know what the capacity will be needed, the electrical capacity needed for that. So that's something that I'll talk to the water heating system.
That's a question that follows usually. Well, you have to first make a decision. Is it going to be a heat pump, electrically based heat pump, or the traditional? And I'm glad you're going in that direction. Second question I have, we forever talked about some kind of a expanded kitchen facility there, and given the fact that now we are no longer relying on gas, we are making everything electrical. Is that making an expanded kitchen something that might be something we want to add to the agenda, or to the work plan, or is it something that probably just for future, if ever?
Yeah, that is something, Jim, that I think we are trying to avoid at this time. I think that that the commission, when I'm saying avoid, not avoid the project, I'm saying avoid taking that bite. Because I think in the past we have tried to incorporate everything. We've talked about master plans for grants, park master plans, and working on those and updating those things. And I think working on these components in this fiscal year is our priority, and we can get these things done. This is something that I've worked with the city manager on. Let's take something that take hold of something that we can control and get finished, rather than thinking of the big picture, because we start thinking about, oh, the expanded kitchen and the new roof and, you know, all of these things that, you know, the green roofs and stuff like that. I think we can actually do those things at a later time, and actually let's not even consider them right now, because we know the 3 components that I'm going to be working on over the next fiscal year, these are needed no matter what we do in the future. And if we can go ahead and complete this in the next 12 to 18 months, I think we'll be on our way. Then we can work on the master plan for things like that.
I totally agree. I just wanted to make sure that, because of the thought was triggered by Shawari's mentioning the Indian food facilities and stuff, you know, food festivals and stuff like that. And if you are going to have some kind of a Chinese, Indian, or eclectic food sharing capability in those facilities, it would be a really good idea to have that kitchen and not to get lost on the from the work plan. I'm not saying do it this year. I'm just simply saying just having a placeholder for it that, you know, keeps it in the corner of our mind. It'll be a good idea.
Yeah, that's something that these work plans going forward can talk about and give recommendations, as you are the commission to recommend to council to consider. So yeah, in the future, I'm not saying it's gone. It's just something that I really don't want to focus and really expand anything right now.
Okay, thank you.
Manny, for our review, could you tell us what the fiscal year is?
Fiscal year is started July 1st of this year, which just passed a couple months ago, and it will end June 30th of 2023.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Manny. Any other comments or questions for Manny? Well, thank you so much for coming to the meeting today. We appreciate it. And
Sure.
we appreciate your hard work on this. We know you're committed to it.
Lots of good news.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good night.
Bye-bye. Okay. So the next thing are the staff oral reports. Jamie?
Yeah, I'm happy to kick things off. So the first one, and I think all of the subcommittees did wonderful reports. The only piece of information that I wanted to share is just scheduling and timing of when information is usually shared with the commission, and if there are any written information or reports that need to be included in the packet. What I wanted to let the commission know, and we can send out a basic schedule because we know when generally our regularly scheduled meetings are. It's always good to remember a week in advance. So if our meeting falls on a Monday, it would be best to try and get the information the Monday before, so that my experience, nothing is ever completely finalized. So that will give us 1 to 2 days if there are any adjustments that need to be made. And then generally speaking, we try to publish the reports and the packet by that Thursday before the meeting. So we can definitely send out a schedule so that all of the commissioners know. But obviously information that's shared in the meeting, again, this is going towards written information or things that would be included in the report. So just wanted to share that piece. And then in the reports, switching gears a little bit, SourceWise was mentioned. And what I wanted to find out is that obviously this is a body, and I know Commissioner Basigi, I know you've occasionally attended some of those meetings, but having that information might be good to share with the commission. And I just wanted to see if other commissioners might be interested to take a look at the meetings. All of their meetings are virtual at this point, and they are the first Monday of the month, usually from the 12 to 2 timeframe. I was going to suggest, because I know everyone's schedule seems to be very tight with lots of other activities. So my initial thought might be to get a rotation going so that it is not solely on one commissioner to attend all of those meetings. That was just a thought or suggestion that I had. But I wanted to see if there was interest. It would be just observing the meetings once a month and then maybe bringing back information that was pertinent. That was a question that I had to the commission. Yeah, Commissioner Basiji.
Yeah, I raised my hand to mention that I found after one or two attendance, I decided not to, largely because their minutes of the meeting is pretty good. That really pretty much reflects everything they talk about. And in addition to that, it would be active participation. And really there was no way of actively participating, shall we say, So from my point of view, if we can get access to the minutes, and of course, all the source-wise stuff is all online anyway. So if you can get access to the minutes, that might be sufficient. But it's all up to you. I mean, if you want to get a sense of what they talk about, that's wonderful. I wholeheartedly agree with that. But in terms of being able to take something away, the minutes do a pretty good job.
Minutes or a summary of the last 6 months, or
Just
something
minutes.
like that, just to
Yeah.
give us an idea. That's it.
Is
What,
this,
Jamie, do you have any opinion about that?
No, completely open and whatever the desire of the commission is.
Okay, thank you.
I know that I can read faster than I listen.
But while I have the floor, I'm sorry to prolong this. The commissioner that was in really very, very hot to trot on a bat was Janet Harding. If somebody wants to get hold of Janet and find out what we did with that, I think that would be a good idea because she was really active in that arena.
and I didn't hear actually how you started this, Jamie, because it froze, but is this the county level commission that you've been attending?
Yeah.
The county level? Okay.
Yeah. It is.
It's a senior commission of the county. Yes? Something like that.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we can start, I think at least at that point, what I will do is share the link to the SourceWise website where the commissioners can find that information, and you can bookmark that source of information, and we can start there. Just wanted to bring this forward a little bit, and we can take a look and see how this progresses. If we're, as Commissioner Basiji mentions, if that engagement changes and commissioners are interested in maybe starting to attend, we can look at that again, but we can go ahead and start with at least getting access to the information.
Thank you, Jamie.
Perfect. And then fall registration, we are open and available for those that want to sign up for classes. And we also have, and this will actually cover through the end of this calendar year, so through December. And overall in Parks and Recreation, we have quite a few fall events that are coming up. Once I turn it over to Cherry, she will go more specifically into our adult 50+ realm, but a few things I wanted to highlight. First, we will actually have another family fun day at the community center. This is open and free to the community. It will be on Saturday, September 24th, and it'll be between 10 and 3 p.m. Speaking from personal experience, I brought my two kids. They are 7 and almost 4, and they had wonderful times. Our staff has done a wonderful job to give just a variety of activities. It is partly sponsored by the Friends of the Library. And also too, it's in collaboration with the Los Altos Library, because they do this past one that we did in August, they had these robotic cubes and they do read alouds, there's craft and movie activities. And so please feel free to share. We will share a flyer very shortly. And then starting, I can't believe we're already in mid-September, but October is just around the corner. And we have October 22nd, it's a Saturday. We have a lot of activity going on that day. So we have during the day, another family fun day, which will be Halloween themed. And that again will be 10 to 3, completely free. And then we are also bringing back a movie in the park, which will be at Grant Park, and that will be completely free as well. We will be doing that in the evening, and roughly looking at when the sun will set, we think we can start the movie between 7 and 7:30, and it will be featuring Monsters, Inc. We thought that would be fun since it's monsters and Halloween, that kind of stuff, and scaring. So we thought that might be a fun family event. And then also at the community center in the evening, it is a pumpkin carving with a cop. This seems to be an annual event. So remember the 22nd, lots of activity going on in Los Altos that day. And then just an overview, but I will bring the dates as we get closer. Family Fun Days will be continuing through the end of this year into December. So I just highlighted September and October. I'll definitely highlight November and December once we get closer to that time frame. But with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Cherry to highlight what's going on in the adult 50+ realm.
Thank you, Jamie. Hello, commissioners.
Hello.
Hi,
Nice
Cherry.
to see
Hi,
everyone.
Cherry.
Nice to see you
Hi.
all.
You too.
We are gearing up for fall and have some wonderful activities planned. Starting us off, we're going to have next week coffee on the patio. We're bringing it back. It hasn't been around since prior to the COVID, and we're going to have that on Tuesday, September 20th. We're going to start around 10 a.m. We're going to have a coffee barista there who's going to fix up whatever coffees you'd like to have.
Oh my
And
goodness.
we're going to have all kinds of breakfast snacks and treats for everyone. So this is a free activity, and we're inviting everyone to come out. This is our plunge, if you will, into getting the folks out and to the community centers. That's up here at Los Altos Community Center, as well as at Grant Park. So do come out and share the patio with us. I believe we're going to have a great time. Also down at Grant Park on September 28th, we're going to have another presentation, a beekeeping presentation that went over so well that it's been asked for again. And so we're going to do it at Grant Park this time. And it's going to be with our mayor, Anita Inander, who's going to be showing us this wonderful beekeeping community that she's created. And she's going to bring all kinds of samples of honey and that kind of thing. And then we're going to go into growing unique vegetables by one of our volunteer gardeners, Ellen Shue, who's going to show us how to grow miniature pots of vegetables that you can use for salads and soups and cooking and that sort of thing. So that's going to be happening on Wednesday, September 28th, and we're going to have a light lunch afterwards. So again, we invite you to come out and then tell your friends to come out. I believe, Chris, you know how the last one went, and that
Very
went
well.
pretty well. So we're looking forward to that. And then on, we're going to move on to October because we have a lot going on in October. We're going to have a historic fun in San Francisco, a mini trip that's going to take us to San Francisco, where we're going to visit the Victorian homes. We're going to have lunch there. We're going to visit the Walt Disney Family Museum, and we're going to have a lunch at the Museum Cafe. This is all going to be happening on Thursday, October 13th. We're going to leave here about 10:30 in the morning. We'll get back about 5:30 in the afternoon. And as Commissioner Shavari said, we're going to have our wonderful, we've been getting lots of response about the Diwali event that's coming up. And we've actually put up canopy. We're going to have canopies put up outside on the patio as well. So we can expect
I
lots
didn't
of
know
people to
this.
come out.
Awesome. Wow. I did not know this. I have to catch up with you tomorrow on this.
Yes, indeed. We're excited. So we want to make sure that event just is perfect for everyone. So yes, we're doing that. And that's happening on Tuesday, October 11th. And we're going to get started around 10 a.m. And we're just excited to see just how that's going to turn out. I've been looking at different cities that do it. And oh my goodness, I can't wait. So that's happening. And then we're going to have our first meetup. We're going to be going down to Shoreline. We're going to have a meetup down there. We're going to do a 45-minute walk. That's going to be our Tuesday, October 4th from 10:15 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're going to do a walk around, and then we're going to have lunch there at the cafe on the lake. And then we're going to do a tour of the Ringstorff House. So we're inviting everyone to use Uber come on down to Shoreline and Uber back, and then we'll reimburse you for those charges.
Oh my,
This is our effort to get the Uber program, the rideshare program up and going. So that's what we're doing with our meetups. We're going to have more after that, but we're just going to start this one off in October. And then we're going to have a workshop with the Daughters of the American Revolution. We've collaborated with them. We had one a couple of months ago where we're going to be creating greeting cards and letters to our service members. And we're going to be sending those out to them for the Christmas holidays. So we're going to be doing that on Tuesday, October 25th from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. And they'll be here at the Sycamore Room. And we're inviting people out and come have some snacks with us and create wonderful messages for our military staff. And then, of course, we have our movies. And this coming Thursday, we're going to have Jungle Cruise, which is a movie, it's a fantasy adventure. And that's going to be here at the Sycamore Room as well. And we just invite you to come out. It starts around noon. And that's pretty much, oh, I'm sorry, one more thing. We have Chocolate Lovers Lunch coming to Grant Park on October 12th. And so if you love chocolate, which most of us do, come on out and have some lunch first. You want to coat your stomach before you inundate yourself with all the chocolate. So we're going to have all kinds of chocolates for you to enjoy. So that's pretty much my report. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer.
Terry, my hat's off to you, man. I mean, this is amazing. This is absolutely, you really upped the game incredibly.
Thank you.
This is
Thank you.
incredible. I mean, thank you.
I
My pleasure.
particularly appreciate the ride
Yeah.
reimbursement for the meeting. I think that's a vital way of advertising.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Great
you.
variety, great variety.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is
Bye.
very exciting. Sherry, in the morning, will you be there when we come
Yes.
tomorrow at 10:30?
Yes, I
So
will.
I'll look for you because I need to know who we're expecting and what we'll do under the canopy. I need to know what's happening.
I will let you know for sure.
I just have one or two other questions. One comment. Actually, it was very good that you started us, the group that I bring, you started us signing and filling up the forms to become a member there, because we've never had any way of anyone becoming a member so that they would then know about all the other activities that happen. So we started the ball rolling. Quite a few of them have joined and they're getting the newsletter now. So I'm looking forward to having some integration happening. One of the questions that came up was the classes that you advertise for both the community center as well as Jamie, the Parks and Rec. Do they have any classes? I know CPR is commonly shown for the Parks and Rec classes, but do they have those classes for senior nutrition, or do they have classes for home fall prevention? Those are the two that they asked me.
And forgive me, I forgot to mention that. We do have that, as a matter of fact, and we're going to have a fall prevention class coming up in November. But that's our next newsletter report.
Okay,
So
so then I'll take that information tomorrow too.
yes, yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
And I will just say, continuing the accolades, but huge kudos to Cherry and her team. They put in a lot of effort to putting in a variety of programming for our adult 50+ community. So as you all have seen, there's a great variety, and we really hope that you guys participate in the activities planned. And to your point, Shavri, we're always looking for ideas of new things to offer. And so if this is a perfect forum, so if you have suggestions of maybe other activities that you've participated in or seen other organizations offer, share that here, and we can look into if it's possible to see if we can bring those opportunities here, or as just happened, it is coming up and we can share that information. So, or if it's outside of this meeting forum, you can always talk to Cherry or talk to myself, and we will work together as a team to maybe bring those opportunities to the Los Altos community.
Thank you. Thank you.
But I think that is it for our staff presentations. I'll turn it back over to you, Chair Cohen.
Hello. Do we have, is Sarah here today for her report?
He is not here at the moment, and so we will follow up, and if there's anything additional that needs to be shared, we will do that via email to the commission.
Thank you. Thank you, Jamie. Okay, the next thing are agenda items for future agenda items. Am I jumping the gun here? I don't think so. Okay, so the plan for next meeting are for the other 4 subcommittees to report on their topic, on their domain. And that would be transportation, housing, 2, outdoor spaces and buildings, and then civic participation and employment. That's one of the plans. And also, if there's an update from the overarching committee, which is the recertification of Los Altos as an age-friendly city, we have a subcommittee on that. Or if there are any updates on the commission, on the subcommittee reports that were done today, if there's anything to update. So I'm not sure why we repeated after the update of the age-friendly city. Why do we repeat the one from number 9 on those 2 lines? Jamie, do you know?
Let me take a look. Oh, that was, so we did the formal reports during the items for consideration and action. Wasn't sure if now we will obviously do the other formal reports in October. These were just, normally speaking, all of the subcommittees usually were standing items in the subcommittee report, or just the commissioner report outs. That was if it was needed. So if there are no reports, we don't need to go through that. We could just do the formal reports, which we did in the items for consideration.
Okay,
But
under number 9.
Correct.
But won't we be speaking on the number 9? We had that overarching committee meeting. I thought Dr. B would talk about that.
Yeah, so it would be great if you could give us a report. Actually, to be the first report to be the umbrella, and then the other four reports under that. Is that okay? Is everybody agreeable to that? So
Up to
on
you,
Bill,
Dr. B.
Tony, and Shivari, you want to give your report also in October. So there'll be 5 reports, your umbrella subcommittee, and then the 4 domains that are left to report on. That's the plan. Are there any other recommendations for future items that we need to discuss next meeting?
Maybe calendar of events that we can talk about for each other for cultural inclusion.
Okay.
But then it can't only be all mine. I want to be included in others too.
Right. We could have it as a general topic, and then you could report. Could we have a generic term for that, Jamie? Or
Yes, we can go ahead and include that, and I will work on wording, and then we'll make sure that it is inclusive.
that would be great. Thank you. Anything else? You know, I'm wondering, I always like to have the work plan. I don't know if it, well, I think it should be on the future agenda, right? Just to review the work plan. I think it just should be an ongoing thing, because things always come up and we always like to tweak it. So after all the reports, things might come up that, you know, we want to do something on the work plan. Would that be okay to include that as well?
Yes, that was, I think that was the plan, to continue to include the work.
Okay, thank you. Are there any others? Okay, well, I think we're finished. Oh, Chris?
No, we've got
Tony.
Tony, Commissioner.
So one suggestion,
Mhm.
the county now has COVID bivalent vaccine boosters available.
Yes.
And please get yours. This will help protect you against Omicron.
I got mine.
Is this number 5?
Yeah, number 5. Yeah, they started this past week. I got mine last Wednesday.
Where do you go for
I'm
it?
getting mine on the 19th
All
of
the
September.
drugstores, all the pharmacies have them. You have to go online. It depends on whether you got Moderna or Pfizer, which drugstore you go to.
Right.
And also PAMF is having them, they announced it. Well, actually, no, they just announced flu shots, but flu shots are available also now.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Tony.
All good.
County
Okay.
also has them available and they have a site on San Antonio Road.
I'm sorry?
Who is that?
The
Who was that?
county has
Oh,
a
yeah, the
site.
yes.
county, the
San
Santa
Antonio
Clara
Road.
County has them available.
Right next to
Yes, they
24 hour.
do. Yes, they do.
Right next to 24-hour fitness. It's really easy to get to.
Nice.
Thank you for mentioning that. I think it's really important. Yeah. Okay, well, I'd like to adjourn the meeting and I thank you all for coming.
Right.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
I don't think we have to do that anymore, right?
Don't need to do that, but that's,
Oh,
Okay.
bye, everybody.
bye.
Bye-bye.